Okay, I might catch some heat for telling this story, but honestly, that's fine. I can take it. In the last episode, I told you that my exes often accuse me of being, quote, too nice. My kindness and, let's be real, my naivety have sometimes led me straight into a brick wall. I wouldn't say I've completely changed, but one thing's for sure. Moving to Paris, the capital, really opened my eyes to the world and to people's hearts. My mom always says, you never really know what's hiding in someone else's heart. And she's right. What feels obvious to you is nonsense to Pierre. What you see as immoral, totally fine for Paul. What feels wrong to you, just a means to an end for Jacques. In short, the world runs on a completely different logic than the one we'd like to believe in. Some people will do anything to serve their own interests. And that's a hard truth I've had to learn the hard way, over and over again. Episode 18, Love and Dough. Paris, Paris, Paris. The Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, the Pont des Arts. Beautiful Paris, the city of lovers and scammers. When I first moved to the capital, I was buzzing. It felt like I was one step away from making all my dreams come true. I was born in Montreuil but raised in Grenoble, so living in Paris felt like the ultimate goal. Plus, I needed a fresh start. Max and I had broken up a few months earlier. Two of my besties had already left the South to move to Paris. I needed a reset, and Paris was it, a new chapter. I was about to start working in my dream industry on a show so iconic it might as well be part of France's cultural heritage. I was surrounded by friends. For a few months, I could have sworn I was living in Life is Beautiful. But if you know anything about real life in Paris, then you know things are rarely as dreamy as they seem. As my contract at Les Amours was ending, I couldn't land another TV job to save my life. On top of that, the stress of apartment hunting was slowly crushing me. A month before the end of my contract at Sony, I finally found a tiny studio in Levallois. I could breathe. But job-wise, still nothing. Zilch, nada. El desierto. No choice left. I applied for a job at the local McDonald's. I'd already worked at McDo during my law school years in Grenoble, so even though I wasn't thrilled, I wasn't mad about it either. Luckily, both McDonald's spots I worked at had pretty chill vibes, so for about a month, I'd spend my days working at Sony in the heart of Paris, and my nights serving Big Macs. Brutal pace, especially when my contract at Sony ended and I still had no job in TV. Total flop. I started spiraling into a depression. It was right around that time that the story I'm about to tell you happened. After Sony, I went full time at McDonald's while desperately job hunting. Nothing was moving. I was full of doubt, emotionally drained. And then came a thought, maybe a sign, maybe a terrible idea. What if I tried to find love? That was peak dating app era. I gave in and signed up for an app that liked to play with fruit. You know which one I'm talking about, right? The idea, you swipe based on the type of fruit that matches the kind of relationship you're looking for. And even though I had carefully selected a tiny fruit that clearly meant I was looking for something serious, let's just say the kind of messages I was getting weren't exactly peachy. One day, though, I matched with an absolute bombshell. Tall, dark hair, blue eyes, bam! A guy who presented himself as calm, stable, working in luxury car rentals, looking for a serious relationship. Basically, the perfect resume. We chatted for a few days. Then one night, right in the middle of my shift at McDo, he asks if we can meet up. I tell him I'm working, so nope. He insists. I can come pick you up after your shift and walk you home. Mind you, I lived like 1 kilometer away from the place. But I think to myself, a man of action. Ladies, you know we love a man of action, right? Little did I know what was really hiding behind all that charm. He comes to pick me up, we walk, we talk, it's nice. Then, out of nowhere, he starts talking about money problems. He tells me this story. He needs 500 euros. He's in trouble, he's stressed, blah, blah, blah. I listen, but in my head it's clear. Dude, I don't even know you, so I say no. But he pushes, and then in an unnecessary display of kindness and oversharing, classic me, I explain my own situation, that I'm also struggling, that I only have enough to cover my rent, about 500 euros in my account. Big mistake. Without missing a beat, he says, well, that's perfect. If you lend it to me, I'll pay you back in 2 or 3 days. Excuse me? I hesitate. He keeps pushing. I repeat, that's all I have left. He insists again, and me, with my legendary naivety, authenticity, and extreme kindness, I give in. I tell him, I can't give you everything, but I give him 450 euros out of the 500 I had left. You already see where this is going, right? The guy disappeared with my money. I tried calling the agency for the so-called luxury car rental company he said he worked for. He'd even shown me a fake website. You already know how that ended. I was in deep, deep trouble. I couldn't pay my rent on time, and my landlord at the time, let's just say he was not playing around. He called me every day, demanding his money, even threatening me. I eventually paid, barely. But still, a few weeks later, I got an eviction notice. My God. And yet, part of me had doubted this guy from the beginning. His story didn't sit right, but my overly empathetic side took over. I told myself, what if it's real? What if he really needs help? And I just refused to give it. Because in my mind, the idea of using someone you barely know to scam them out of money is unthinkable. It's immoral. It's just plain wrong. And to me, that should be basic human logic. But the reality is, human beings are capable of anything when it comes to money. So today's lesson, it's not just mine. It's a mix of the Bible's wisdom and my mama's common sense. Lesson number 19. Not everyone has your heart. Be yourself, but stay alert. Hey, this was Lucrece. Thanks for listening to Destiny Podcast.